the young and the restless spoilers. The Abbott mansion, usually filled with lively conversation and the comings and goings of family, was now draped in an air of sorrow and confusion. Diane Jenkins was gone. The woman who had fought so hard to rebuild her life, to make amends for her past mistakes, had disappeared without a trace. Her absence weighed heavily on the family, casting a shadow over every room and every conversation. For Kyle Abbott, the pain was almost unbearable. He had always had a complicated relationship with his mother, Diane. Her return to Genoa City had stirred old wounds, bringing back memories of abandonment and betrayal. Yet, at the same time, it had given him hope that they could rebuild their bond, that they could finally become the family he had always dreamed of. But now, with Diane gone, that hope was slipping away, leaving Kyle to confront the depths of his regret. The last few weeks had been a whirlwind. Diane had been trying to support Jack Abbott, her longtime love and Kyle's father, in every way she could. She had worked tirelessly to help Jack in his business endeavors, doing everything possible to prove her loyalty and worth to both him and Kyle. But somewhere along the way, things had gone wrong. Kyle had started to feel suffocated by her presence, and despite Diane's best intentions, her efforts seemed to only cause more tension between them. Kyle had tried to communicate his frustration, but the words came out harsher than he intended. He had accused his mother of overstepping, of trying too hard to insert herself into every aspect of his life. He had even hinted that maybe things would be simpler if she stepped back, letting him take more control over his own future. Diane, always sensitive to rejection, took his words to heart. And now she was gone, leaving nothing but a haunting silence in her wake. Jack had been forced to play a part in this tragedy as well. In an attempt to protect Diane and the family from external threats, he had staged a public firing, making it seem as though he had severed ties with her. It was all part of an elaborate plan to throw off their enemies, but Jack never anticipated how deeply it would wound Diane. He never expected her to take the charade personally, to feel as though he had truly turned his back on her. Jack had loved Diane fiercely, and even through their many ups and downs, he had always believed they would find their way back to each other. But now, he feared it might be too late. The rumors had started almost immediately after Diane's disappearance. Some said she had left Genoa City for good, unable to bear the weight of her past or the scrutiny of those who doubted her intentions. Others whispered darker theories, that Diane was gravely ill, suffering in silence, and had chosen to disappear so she could die alone, sparing her loved ones the pain of watching her deteriorate. These rumors cut Kyle deeply, and he couldn't help but wonder if they were true. Had his mother been sick all this time, hiding her illness from him and Jack to protect them? Was she really gone for good, retreating to some unknown place to live out her final days in solitude? Kyle's guilt was overwhelming. He replayed their last conversations over and over in his mind, wishing he could take back every harsh word, every moment of frustration he had directed at her. He had pushed her away when all she wanted was to be close to him. Now, he feared it was too late to make amends. He had tried calling her, texting her, but there was no response. It was as though Diane had vanished into thin air, leaving behind nothing but unanswered questions and a gaping hole in the hearts of those who loved her. Jack, too, was struggling with his own feelings of guilt and helplessness. He had tried to contact Diane countless times, leaving voicemails and sending messages, hoping against hope that she would respond. But every call went unanswered, and every day that passed without word from her felt like a lifetime. Jack couldn't shake the fear that something terrible had happened, that Diane was out there, suffering, and he had no way of helping her. The rumors that Diane had been ill only fueled Jack's fears. He couldn't bear the thought of Diane being sick, fighting some unseen battle alone, without the support of her family. And yet, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't reach her. Every lead they had pursued had turned into a dead end. It was as though Diane had disappeared off the face of the earth, leaving them with nothing but speculation and heartache. Kyle had become increasingly emotional as the days passed, and it wasn't long before the weight of his grief became too much to bear. One night, alone in his room, Kyle broke down. Tears streamed down his face as he whispered into the darkness, hoping somehow his mother could hear him. "Please come back, Mom," he sobbed. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean any of it."